Well, hello and welcome everyone to the podcast. We have once again esteemed guest, Miss Sandy Miarecki, retired Lieutenant Colonel for the Air Force as a test pilot, one of the most important prestigious positions within that ranking. And she is joining us for our monthly updates as it relates to the inauguration, executive orders, financial status, as well as other things. And we'll be picking her brain accordingly. If you are new to the channel, please do like, subscribe, and share so that others can be appraised of the knowledge you're being afforded. Miss Sandy Miarecki, how are you doing today?
Great, John. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Our audience is responding very favorably to you, and it's clear to see why. So let's start right at the top. And obviously, the order of the day, the inauguration, President Trump getting in, thank God, safe and secure by the grace of God, just like the presidential election. And now he's off to work in just 2 days. He's killing it. And so my first question to you is, what were your impressions of the inauguration? Did it go as safely as you thought it would? And then we can transition to what executive orders of the many are you most impressed and focused upon at this point?
Well, of course, that's on everyone's mind now, right? It's only 2 days ago that we saw all this stuff happening. And I will admit up front that I have not watched the entire thing in sequence from start to finish. That's something I planned on doing, and I just haven't had the time to do. But I have seen significant bits and pieces and some discussion about some of the things that were there. So I can talk, about what I saw in those things. So, praise God that he made it through the election, the intervening time frame, and then now the inauguration. So as we discussed before in your previous podcasts, in the options of what we think is going to happen, in regards to the Republic and everything else that we're doing, that he had to be elected in a fair enough election where the enough of the fraud had to be blocked. And there was no ballot stuffing on Trump's side. He didn't need to with 80% of the popular vote or more. And so he got his fair enough election, enough to be elected, but all the down ballots were stolen. If you were noticing the shenanigans going on in just about every state, the Senate, the House, the governor, the city council, the whatever, all of those were all shenanigans. So, the first question I ask, of course, is why? The second answer is, well, because they're all going to be fired. So it doesn't matter who's in those positions. That's what I'm thinking. So if they said, yeah, let the criminals in, that's fine, because they're all going to get taken out later, right? And then we can have the good guys who are actually going against them be coming. All right. So now January 6th, we're all expecting, oh, there's going to be this, 25th Amendment. And nope. It was, but now they were snickering in the background. The bad guys, you just notice? I don't know if you noticed this, like this little something like is going to be happening. I don't know what that was, but I hope we don't find out. And then the inauguration moving indoors. Oh, thank God. We were all going like, please don't be outside. Please don't be outside, because there's this huge wide angle of places, drones, whatever, that could have done whatever they wanted to do. So
Exactly.
yeah, so we didn't need another Pennsylvania. So now we have, so he's indoors. I don't know if you noticed this, but he was standing between Lincoln and Grant, the president's statues. Now there is a Andrew Johnson, who was Lincoln's vice, who took over, of course, when Lincoln was killed. The statue wasn't there. Now I'm not sure if it was removed so that they could have the ceremony there, or if there's not a statue of Johnson, or I don't know, but he was a 33-degree Mason, I think. So, I mean, maybe there was a message there. I noticed that. There's a lot of argument that, Trump being the next president after Lincoln, because everything after Lincoln didn't count. Some will argue that it was, after 1871 was because it was like the final nail in the coffin for the Republic, and then the corporation took over.
Right.
There's arguments that it happened after Lincoln. Lincoln was the last one to be elected in a republic. He didn't get sworn in under a republic because the states were leaving the Union and we were losing Congress and all that stuff. So symbology, right? Him and his symbology. So I need to go and watch, like I said, from start to end, the entire thing, and then look at it with a critical eye. I have not seen any corporate gold fringed flags.
Yep.
So far. I have to watch very carefully. Now, I think there was a set of them at one of the balls, I think. So I got to double check if that was true or not. This was something someone told me. I haven't had a chance to even look at photographs. So that's something I need to evaluate. So, and this is again the thing with the video I need to double check, but the report that Justice Roberts started the oath before the Melania and the family were standing around him to support, like they always do, right? They were always standing nearby. And so here's my assessment. If Trump fully intended to put his hand on the Bible, he would have stopped the oath. He would not have started the oath. He would have waved up Melania and she would have come up with the Bible and he would have put his hand on it. He's not shy. He'll stop the oath in the middle and he'll say, okay, Melania, come on up, put my hand on the Bible and we'll go from there. 2 Bibles, of course, which is the same thing he did the first time. That's his original family Bible, I think, and then the Lincoln Bible. So Lincoln is big symbology for him. So now we've got an oath being taken without the hand on the Bible. Oh my God, what does this mean? It's optional. You don't have to put your hand on the Bible, but you have to take the oath with your right hand up because you're swearing, that you're going to uphold the Constitution. So the important part was done. What does the hand not on the Bible mean? Well, you can argue it was planned and that Roberts intentionally rushed the oath and that Trump went along with it, didn't wave up Melania like he easily could have done to put his hand on the Bible. He doesn't want to swear his allegiance or whatever, on a stack of Bibles to a satanic organization. That's just my assessment, that he planned on not doing it. Some would argue, oh, he was already sworn in or he never left. And I'm like, well, yeah, but Reagan had 2 back-to-back terms and he put his hand on the Bible both times and it was indoors, the second one, just like, so it's like, nah, that argument doesn't float. And then some will say, oh, it's because he's actually the president of the Republic. And I'm like, no, the president of the Republic is James Buchanan Geiger. And that's the organization, the group that I'm with. And so, yeah, we're still waiting for the phone call from Trump and his associates. So he can't be president of the Republic because he was not elected under a republic by a republic people. We've gone through this whole thing before. He can only be the CEO because he's only been under corporate stuff. Corporate Congress, corporate Electoral College, corporate inauguration. He was inaugurated by the corporate Supreme Court. So, I'm trying to think through this. Now, why do I think he did that? I think the corporation is hanging on by a thread. And there's like one piece of paper left over to be signed and it's done. And everything in the corporation is gone and under receivership or whatever it is, that's the next phase of a bankruptcy of a country. The big thing that people need to remember is there's no such thing as these executive orders like he's doing in a republic. That's why he has to be CEO, because he's still under the corporation, so he can use the corporation's cabal weapons against them. That's the big clue. Because you can't do these, I'm going to, anything like creating a new department, that has to go through the House for approval and the Senate for funding. He hasn't done it. He's just doing executive orders, right? Now, of course, he's going to get all that eventually, but I don't know what the mechanism is that he's doing for that. But that's the Republic way. So the other thing is that all previous executive orders also disappear with the corporation. His 13818, the most famous one everyone keeps mentioning. Derek Johnson's all over this, right? He's the one that's been digging deep into this stuff.
Yep.
So that's my assessment, is he is once again the corporate CEO like he was the first time. And he's doing that because he needs to have the corporation's cabal weapons, known as executive orders, in order to do all the things he's about to do. And we've already seen, I don't know how many hundreds has he signed already.
Close
and
to 200, I think.
They can't even keep up on the websites.
Yeah.
They're posting them as fast as possible. Right now, they don't even have numbers. So it's just, here's the text. And we'll get to the numbers later.
Right.
So yeah, that's literally how it's been going.
Okay.
So that's my assessment of what I saw.
Well, thank you for that. That's good. Good cursory overview. So diving into the minutia a little bit, Sandy, further, and I should denote to the audience that Ms. Miarecki also is the acting governor under the Republic of Texas. So that's an important distinction. And with that as a segue, Sandy, I don't know if you caught it in the inauguration, because you said you didn't watch the whole thing, but I don't know if you caught the snippet in the very beginning. I think it was within the first, I don't know, 3 or 5 minutes, somewhere along those lines. He talked about restoring the Republic, which really got my ear. So,
Quote, restore the republic.
well,
Right.
he's in process of it.
Oh,
To
yeah. I'm
your
just
point,
saying that you don't use that word if the republic is already back or is already there.
right, right. But I'm just saying that there was a huge point of emphasis I haven't really heard him say in quite either, quite a long time. And to do that at your ever important inauguration seemed pretty significant to me, at least. And I don't know about you, but so
Can I make one
Texas,
correction? I am
sure.
the interim governor for the Texas state in the
Okay.
Republic for the United States of America. There is another group called Republic of Texas.
Ah,
And I'm in communication with them, but I'm not a member or an official or anything like that.
okay.
Because we are separating jurisdictions because they have what they're doing and then we have what we're doing. We are both going in the same direction, just
Yeah.
using different means. So we're on good terms.
No, I
Just want-
appreciate the clarity on that, because it can get a little muddy sometimes. And so it's like you're complimenting each other in a different way.
Exactly.
So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So with regards to Texas, something I noticed, which was pretty significant, that hit our desk today with the team, which we talked about offline. Texas has not had income tax, but apparently you folks are the first in the nation to start the removal of property tax, which I thought was really important, and something, there's HR 24 and 25. Buddy, the last name escapes me, but one of the big congressmen to move. I think it's Buddy Massey. If I'm right, anyway, someone will correct me there. He's moving HR 24 and 25 to move forward, which supports that. And Texas seems to be, of course, leading the way. So any thoughts or impressions you have upon that with respect to the Republic?
So I had not heard this news. It's awesome news. We, I think, talked about last time, and I'm sorry if I don't remember if we did this, but one of the things when this republic is finally restored, there is no property tax. It's not constitutional. There's no driver's license, license plates, hunting fees, licenses for weapons. It's carry wherever you want, whenever you want. No business can stop you.
Mm.
Literally, that's how it is. And so the fact that Texas is removing property tax in advance, that's pretty awesome. That they're taking the lead. Now, Abbott, not a good guy. He's a World Economic Forum graduate, just like DeSantis and Polis and Newsom. So they're all bad guys, but are they still the same guys, or are they wearing masks and these are good guys? Who knows at this point, right? Because we see so many different photographs and videos, and I was going through the Getty images of previous inaugurations and things like that to see what, was there going to be any differences between this one and the previous ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the pictures of the original Biden. It doesn't look anything like the guys we got now.
We already know that. Yeah.
Yeah, we already know that. So, but they didn't fix those. So Getty Images, go there and go take a look at the original Vice President Biden. He looks like a mafioso. I mean, this is just the way, that's his appearance, and that's just not the way he's presented or was presented. Who knows where he is now?
Oh.
But yeah, the plane, I think, flew someone to California. Wouldn't that be like Hollywood taking him home?
Well, did you notice, Sandy, at the inauguration, speaking of the deep state actors, Michelle was not present.
Correct.
Hmm.
And there was something about what was it, spa day or
Gitmo. Yeah.
Had planned. No, it was something he had planned. Maybe it was minor surgery. I don't even remember now what it was. That was I don't remember the excuse, but it was something along those lines as to why he wasn't there.
Interesting. Okay. So in that same vein, as I mentioned to you offline of one of our talking points, you mentioned there are a slew of executive orders, hard to keep up. What ones, if any, sort of highlighted to you are the most significant, and why?
Well, there's There's one in particular, well, there's two. The one I haven't found yet that I think is more significant though. And this one is called Ending the Weaponization of the Federal Government. Wow. Because when you start reading it, it's pretty intense. Let's see if I can find the biggest paragraph here is section 2. It's a very short paragraph. I can just read it to you. It is the policy of the United States to identify and take appropriate action to correct past misconduct by the federal government related to the weaponization of law enforcement and the weaponization of the intelligence community. Keyword, past. So that means that anything that's happened in the past where you've been, let's just say J6 prisoners of war, that's weaponization of the federal government for people that did nothing wrong. And so now what? Well, now they've got this policy, this executive order. We're just waiting to find out, okay, where's the website? Where's the forms? Right. So we can all fill them out because I'm the same. I had the weaponization of the government against me as well. I think every American can probably claim that in some degree. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. Is it you get an apology? I'm sorry, but the prisoners of war from J6 deserve way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
For going through all the hell and torture that they've been through for 4 years or, about that. And no trial. And I mean, no food, no medical, no. And even there was a rumor that Trump was going to send the U.S. Marshals in because they were taking so long to release them. I would have said, go, we want the video. We want to see that. We've been praying for that for a long time.
Yeah.
I know every night I pray for those J6 prisoners. I'm still praying for them because they've got a hard road ahead. If they've been out of commission for 4 years, there's going to be a big adjustment for them to get back to normal. If they can even get back to normal, they're going to have to create their new normal. Right. Because a lot of them, divorces or, children were taken from them, their houses, their cars, their businesses gone. How do you start over with new from that? But I do think that God has a plan for them. And there's something that they're supposed to do. And I pray that God approached them in some way, got the message to each of them that there is something for them to do. And so I can't wait to see what that is. I want to hear them on your podcast. Any podcaster out there, I'm telling you right now, reach out and get any of them and all of them on that you can and get their stories because it's fresh right now. I would imagine that their legal teams, their lawyers maybe have that information as well. But the American people our hearts ache for them because of what they just went through. So that's me.
Yeah. No, I concur. Not much more you can say about it, really. It's pretty sobering, to say the least. By the way, we do have, as you know, Derek Johnson on regularly. We had him on yesterday. That'll be airing soon. And I talked to him about the flags. And I saw yesterday when President Trump was immediate, they had the red, white, and blue corded flags. Excuse me, the cords on the flag. I believe at the inauguration, somebody had pointed out that they were the old gold French flags where they were folded in dishonor. So that seems to, it would seem to suggest, want to take your temperature on it, that's part of the transition from the corporation to the republic that's necessary. So then the next question would be, if we're in transition to the republic, when in your educated hypothesis would you surmise that we will reach that point?
So timeline's always the hardest part of this, right? We just kind of know what will happen eventually. I would predict, guess, educated guess, that these executive orders, the 200 or whatever that he's dropped, plus all of his previous ones, especially the ones where if you've done drug trafficking or human trafficking or sex trafficking, you forfeit all your belongings, right? You get everything seized. And he's put the death penalty back. That was one of the executive orders. The return of the death penalty, I think, is what it said. So that's kind of where I see things going. He's got to have enough time for those things to take effect. Like I said, as soon as he says corporation is now defunct, I have signed the final papers, it's gone, it's completely bankrupt and insolvent and receivership, and all those steps. And there is no more. Then everything goes away. So he has to keep it a couple of weeks. I would say 1 to 3 months, something like that, somewhere in the 1 to 3 month range. Now he has brought up Memorial Day a lot, and saying that we're going to start the 250th anniversary of this country, the signing of the Declaration,
Yep.
is this July 4th, 2020.
I thought it was May
26.
Memorial Day of this year, and then into 4th of July next year, I heard.
Right. And that was the quote that I was coming up with. But our 250th anniversary is the 4th of July, 2026.
Right.
And he said that we're going to have a more than 1 year celebration of that starting May of this year, 2020,
Right.
and then extending all the way to July 4th. So he keeps bringing up Memorial Day. In fact, in one of his previous rallies, he said the new elections before Memorial Day. There's no elections before Memorial Day. What are you talking about? Oh, are you talking about the Republic? Oh, maybe. Because we haven't had a Republic election since 1860. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. It could be 1871, maybe, but yeah. So we got to have another election because we've got to put actual Republic people into the Republic.
Right.
We haven't done that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy. Sorry to interrupt. Real fast. I may be off on this, but that's why I'd ask you. I think March 4th was typically the inauguration date of the Republic. Is that what he's maybe hinting at, you think?
It could be. Now, we've been working under, so it's always been a blend, right, of kind of old Republic and the new corporation, pushing the Republic out in order to have just the corporation, but you still got the basics, the baseline, the foundation is still Republic. So there's always going to be a little bit of crossover or whatever in any scenario that they've been doing. So it's hard to say. I mean, even there's some folks that are saying, oh, well, we need to have a Republic Corporation hybrid. I'm like, are you nuts? How do you think we got here in the first place? That's going to go over like a lead balloon. No way. And the Patriots are not going to let it go either. I don't think. So remember, the option with the least amount of violence and death, that ain't it. I can tell you that right now.
No.
So if they're trying to do something like that, he better stay in the corporation. He better do everything in the corporation. When he's ready, he needs to get rid of it and then call up the Republic. And we will put in, like I said, I am the interim governor. I will step aside gladly as soon as there is a replacement for me in an actual Republic election, which we will all help to run here in the Republic. That's our number one job.
So let's just, for argument's sake, stay on that timeline or that date, Sandy. That let's just say, for argument's sake, it's right down the middle, right? March to May. It's kind of split the difference. That's how I look at it. Let's presuppose that they did do March 4th. So that ties into mine. I'm tying it into the next question as a segue. Would that, in your estimation, if that were to start the Republic, would that also start to, because we're seeing a lot of Nasara cons, right? With, the patents and things, which we know is part of the World's Fair, which we haven't had, I believe, since it was before my time, but the 63, I think, was the last time in New York, the World's Fair.
Like that.
And there's talk of, I think, either Texas or Cape Canaveral, or maybe a combination, who knows. But isn't that sort of, sparking of Nasara? And so would the Republic be the kickoff of Nasara for the lion's share of the Republic?
So, I do talk to some insiders. They're not like, the highest of they're the worker bees. And so they tell me things, little bits and pieces, of course, that I try to piece together with things that we see on the outside. And we actually ran through kind of a little thought experiment. Okay, what could we have the Republic first and then Nasara? Or could we have Nasara first and then a Republic? Or could we have QFS first? And we tried to run through these, and we can't make it work where they're not all simultaneous. Like the RV, who wants to have an RV where you take your Iraqi dinar or whatever, and you convert it to worthless US dollars? I don't want to do that. If I had if I had that stuff, no way.
Right.
So it would have to be real money, real currency or whatever. That's the thing that I would want.
Asset backed. Yeah.
So, yeah. So the banks are going to have their gold and silver in the vaults. And these are going to be like gold certificates and silver certificates. These, if we go back to notes, it's all got, matching amounts of gold and silver somewhere. And so if I want to take my silver certificate for $100 and I can go walk into any bank and say, give me $100 worth of silver.
Or
They have
gold
to
or
do it.
whatever. They have to do it.
Or
Yeah.
gold. Yeah, well, I'm saying this is a silver certificate.
Sure.
Or it could be generic. It could just say, anything you want. You can go ask for whatever you want of that value. So that's, I think, where we're headed. And I think it's going to happen simultaneously. QFS, as you probably already know, has been running in kind of beta testing. They just started using it for a couple of transfers just to see if it's working properly. But just about every country has a QFS connection now.
Right.
And so, of course, they're under attack every day. The bad guys are trying to figure out how to infiltrate and get in. People do not pay anyone for a QFS account.
That's where I was going next.
Stop. That is a scam.
Yeah.
Okay. You already have a QFS account. If I probably said that last time too, but it just drives me nuts when I hear these people saying, and I paid $5,000 for my QFS account. I'm like, oh my God, can you get that money back?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a scam. So just be patient. I know it's hard, especially the people that are, I'll say, in the downward spiral, the ones that have maybe they've used up all their savings. Now they're using up the credit cards and they're maxed out on debt, and they know that all this is happening. And maybe they did buy a couple $100 worth of some dinar or dong or something. And they're just waiting for the RV. I don't know when it's going to be, but it should be all at the same time. If we haven't seen something by Memorial Day, something's wrong, I think.
I think it's going to be way before that, to be honest with you. I will.
Like I said, if that's in my mind, that's the deadline. If we haven't seen anything by Memorial Day, something's very wrong.
Yeah. What I meant by that, Sandy, just so you know, because obviously you have your own many areas of expertise. One of the few things that we know about is the finances. And so checked in with my team on that. And I don't want to get into a long, protracted conversation because I know people get, and understandably, very engaged in it, and that's fine. But we want to do it in a very calm, measured way. That being said, we mostly focus on the public exchange because that's what everybody can get to. Yes, there's a private side. Yes, there are people involved in that, and that's real. But that's not for the lion's share of people because it's just, frankly, a God thing, a luck of the draw. It's the cards that are dealt. So we would just focus people on the core concentration of what you can get, which is the public exchange. So that being said, we've gotten very solid information on our side through our relationships that on the private side, the banks have changed a lot of their erroneous and nonsensical fees and penalties and all that crap, bloated nonsense from the Cabal Corporation you're referring to, and they're switching the transition over right now. So that is in play, which is a good sign. No coincidence, in part to President Trump's reentrance optically. So if that helps people, that is definitely in motion. And again, we don't do dates and rates and things like that, but in terms of timelines and sort of a choreographed process, for lack of a better word, it would appear that it's coming into position sooner than later. One of the things I thought was interesting, I don't know if you caught President Trump's press conference on Monday night when he was starting the executive order process at the Oval Office. And then yesterday's press conference, I happened to catch it and it just caught my radar. A lot of the tariffs that are, it's sort of the narrative for Mexico and Canada, 25%, as well as the removal of the WHO and when that takes effect. On both timelines, he said February 1st. So it seems like that's a significant demarcation date for the aforementioned things to move forward. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's very true. I did see the removal from the WHO. Of course, we're all just ecstatic, the ones that fought against the mandates, because the corruption came from there. You got a veterinarian that's running the world. It's like, oh God. I'm sorry. I love veterinarians. Okay. I really do. You guys are great for helping animals, but
right.
Not when you're trying to run a health organization for people. I'm sorry.
Understandable. So let's touch on that because I was going to discuss that with you today. Well, I think it was yesterday into today. There was discussion with the people from SoftBank and all this talk about a vaccine for cancer and all that stuff. And people got real because I mean, for a good majority of the population, I think is a safe way to put it. They're still playing on the fear and porn tactics of the mindset shift, right? And so people are still understandably triggered when they hear, "Oh, what's this about vaccines? I thought he wasn't going to be a part of that." And but he never really responded to that. And a lot of times he said, "Keep your friends close, your enemies closer," and pushed them out. And we had somebody on our Telegram that came out and really debunked that and said that this was all part of the plan to expose it. So to give
Maybe.
some comfort and peace of mind, I was just wondering what your impressions are on that.
So I can tell you that we've had the cure for cancer for hundreds of years, and it's been blocked. So that anyone that you've known that has ever died from cancer was murdered by our government. I'm sorry to say that. Just such a coincidence that they've gave us these so-called vaccines for COVID, and they cause turbo cancers. So anyone who's got this like raging cancer right now that took one of the shots, that's why. Because you either had baby cancer. I mean, we all have cancer 24/7, 365. There's cells that are, they just don't quite divide right. And our immune system, healthy immune system goes, oh, whack, and there's no cancer. So that's the number one thing is you need a healthy immune system to not have cancer. But all the things that they told us that we shouldn't take during COVID, right? Oh, ivermectin. Oh, hydroxychloroquine. Oh, now fenbendazole, which is another anti-parasite. Most cancers are caused by parasites, folks. You try to talk to a doctor about that and they're going to just laugh at you. It's like, oh, parasites in America? We all have them.
Yep.
Every single one of us, everyone listening, all your friends, neighbors, everybody, because there's all kinds of different ones and they can be totally, not that important, not that, very innocuous, very mild. And then you've got the ones that'll cause raging symptoms that we all know about from food poisoning and whatever, right?
Right.
So we have the cures for cancer. The fact that they're going to give you a vaccine to cure cancer is only to make another health problem, if not
Right.
cancer.
Yeah.
Because what does this mRNA tech, it was designed to infiltrate your cell's nucleus and infiltrate your DNA. The
Right.
reason why you have cancer that multiplies out of control is because your DNA has been damaged. Well, these things damage your DNA on purpose. So please research this.
Mm-hmm.
I would never, ever, take another shot ever again.
Same. Isn't it funny? These cabal doctors, ha ha ha, parasites. I'll just take this drug and pay no attention to the 18,000 side effects. You know?
Death. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mild inconvenience there. Well, that brings up another interesting point, Sandy, that's coming out since President Trump has summarily and rightly rejected the WHO. They're going to be, I believe, as part of, if I'm not mistaken, you'll correct me, I'm sure the Republic is to have the Nuremberg 2.0 trials to deal with all of these healthcare professionals of all types who either knowingly or unknowingly were culpable in the aid of injury and death of all these very important and innocent people that didn't deserve to have this happen.
Nope, you're exactly right. So, I had his name. The guy who is a dual citizen, American German attorney. He's in jail in Germany for him starting the Nuremberg 2.0. Reiner Fulmick.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to be released immediately and brought back to America. I mean, Germany has just been, human rights violations left and right.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got all the experts on video sworn in and everything. And so all you have to do is start playing those videos to a Nuremberg 2.0 and we've got them all. Maybe the military tribunals have already done that. If you get your three colonels or three whoever together and they watch the videos and they go, yep, guilty. Then it's just a matter of bringing the guy in and saying, we've already seen all the evidence, you're guilty. Guillotines outside or firing squad or however they're going to do it. Please send the videos. We want to see the videos. Well, I don't want to see gore, but I want to see these people pay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think you're not alone. I think a lot of
all this pain and suffering.
Well, the truth just needs to come out. Plain, we just need to level with the American people and just rip the Band-Aid off in the most honest but direct way.
Yep.
I believe, if my memory serves right, I believe in his first term, he wasn't able to do it because we were still in the corporation in 2019. But I remember there was talk about May for the public trials and such, or things that they already done, and then bringing it front and center. So I'm wondering, maybe just speculation, maybe May of this year is now the adjusted correct timeline to actually roll that out to what you're talking about.
It could be. I think a lot of us pray that there have already been some of the trials, the military tribunals and the rest.
Yeah.
For at least the lower ones, maybe the upper ones, but don't even know if the executions have occurred. I would hope so. Again, we need the video evidence of this.
Right.
And that they weren't wearing masks and that they weren't, et cetera, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I think the American people are just so ready for, what's the word here? I don't want to say retribution. Maybe
Justice.
it is retribution.
Oh, justice.
Justice, there's the word. Yeah, justice. Because when you are committing genocide, I don't know what else to say, so.
No, I think that pretty much summates it well. With this R part, I can tell you for sure, and I did get further confirmation from our last dialogue that I think you'll enjoy, Sandy, which is with regard to the med beds, the military does have them the right side. They are not going to clone your DNA or anything like that. So you'll safely, well, I know that was a concern of yours, I remember. So I asked about it. And from the people that we have at Walter Reed Medical who have gotten access to them, Trump and the right patriots seized them out of the hallways from the bad people and put them in a secluded place where they could not gain access, much to your example of QFS as a common denominator. So they're going to be used for the right reasons, for the right people, right? As I understand it, if you've part of the thing he's doing with the ferreting out the nefarious scumbags with human trafficking and pedophilia, money laundering, they will not get access to it, and only the good nationals of America will gain access to that. But they won't involve any cloning of your DNA or any of that kind of stuff. So they will be completely neutralized from any negative repercussions, we could say. So I just wanted to give you that peace of mind.
Well, like we talked about before, there's several different kinds of med beds. I actually, it's a friend of a friend, so I don't have firsthand knowledge, but they talked about, I think we talked about this last time, that they had an appointment and they gave it to someone else who was dying of cancer so that they would be saved. So very hard to get the appointments because there's so few med beds, but the ones that are in the most pain, suffering, whatever, those are the folks that are getting the phone calls right now.
Mm-hmm.
I also know of someone in the Republic who is in a training program on the frequency and light versions of the med beds. So they're already training the folks that are going to be running the beds, the technicians, so to speak. So yeah. And again, people don't pay for a med bed appointment or anything like that. This is free. You do not have to pay a thing. Do not get tricked into thinking that you can go early or whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna jump the line. We also have a friend at Walter Reed who, I think I told you this last time, December of 2022, had an appointment to get into the right med bed at Walter Reed, gave it to his friend here in California who had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So he felt, it's Marine, so they semperfy their fellow soldiers to, an honor code. So he put him in there and worked like a trick. They have plenty of med beds as we know it. They just haven't been rolled out to the public yet, right? But we do know at least where some of the access points are. And I'm just doing this for the audience's, sake and confirmation to give them a little bit of comfort and clarity. As we
they had to hold on to them, they had to not let them out until the bad guys are gone.
Right.
So
it's timing. Once again.
Yeah, it's all the timing.
Yeah, God's timing is perfect. Not ours, but God's. As we sort of round the bend of the podcast, I want to turn our attention a little bit to the financial stuff. And President Trump actually said in his press conference, I believe it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, it was yesterday, that he's planning a trip to the Middle East pretty soon. We know that's about Iraq. It's kind of a no-brainer clue. He likes to send us comms in the community. Thank God. So he speaks in, as you know, in duality. He's going to be meeting with Putin to end the nonsense in Ukraine, which we think was already dealt with a while ago. We also found interesting he's talking about Taiwan, which we know relates to Vietnam, for the Dong to free them up enough out of communism. And I do want also to confirm the audience what I've said in previous podcasts to others, just for your edification. We're watching for Nelson Chamisa, who's a Christian, to come front of center for Zimbabwe and remove Mnangagwa, who's corrupt. You're going to see a long line of corruption, not only here in America, but sweeping throughout the entirety of the world, as President Trump is removing said militias and Iranian proxies to take the proverbial hand of Iran off of their little brother Iraq to free them up. So you're seeing a pattern. And when we see Chamisa go in, then the Zimbabwe bonds will take front and center as one of the largest gold holders in the world. And again, we don't know what that date is, but the fact that he's putting out comms seems to suggest sooner than later. So I'm isolating the reset Sandy away from the SARA because, yeah, they're close cousins, but they operate much like your other Republican constituents in different fashions. So that's what we've got. And I was just kind of curious if you've heard anything on your home front.
No, just that the SWIFT system has to be completely taken down because QFS needs to be in place to make sure these transfers are going to be going without incident. Because
Right.
there's so many backdoors into SWIFT right now. In the past, we've had our financial folks that work behind the scenes in the Republic. They're not actually part of the Republic, but work on our behalf. And they would have the money stolen en route or at the destination, and poof, it's gone. Where did it go? I don't know. It's gone. So QFS, that can't happen because
Right.
it's an encrypted channel.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can get into that because you got to have the encryption in order to. So anyway, that's I think what they're waiting for. It's going to be QFS, Republic, QFS, Nasara, and the RVs. I think all at the same time, within days of each other, for sure.
Yeah,
And
say within days. That's probably right. Well, here's another encouraging point, Sandra, to your cogent statement. Again, going back to the context that we have with regards on the private side, the fact that the banks are already being cleaned up and riddled of all this nonsensical self-appointed fees, we'll say, is encouraging. You look at XRP, they're about to have their case settled, I believe, as early as tomorrow. The SEC, that scumbag Gary Gensler, he had already stepped down optically a while ago, last year, but now officially, front and face. If we're even dealing with the same guy, who knows? But that's being ripped apart. So the settlement will free up XRP to really moon, which ties to the QFS, which ties to the BRICS and all the corresponding currencies to help those QFS transactions in fractions of a second in what you said earlier, rightly, real-time settlements, something real for something real, right? So as it's pegged to assets over here, it will be likewise over there. And I wanted to also add to your knowledge base, if you don't already know, not only do they have to have the gold and silver in the vaults, which is part of the Basel III compliance. If you don't have the gold and silver in the balance sheets, you're going out of business, which is why you're going to see a lot of banks leave front and center. That's why you're seeing branches disappear as well in the majors. But also we believe that they have the US note because we are going to still use cash for a while because we still have a population of an advanced age that is accustomed to it, and we don't want to leave anybody out in the cold. So it's not all going to be just this, but we're also going to have that as well. So I think it'll be a hybrid blend of everything to accommodate. As you said earlier, it's the most peaceful, least amount of collateral damage possible financially as well as personally. So,
but I think the stock market is going to be going away eventually.
Yeah, well, it's going to have a big crash here pretty soon.
Well, yeah, and it's if it's still the bad guys, don't know. I'm hoping it's the good guys crashing it on the bad guys because it's been the other way around this whole time.
Yeah.
My 1929 crash was artificially generated by the bad guys. I mean, it's just, so that they could steal more wealth from the people. So that's all it's been. And these bad guys, well, don't know what the repossession is of the wealth that because they've been doing so many bad things for so long, but don't know what the stage we are in that. But before all this started happening, bad guys owned something like 99.999% of all assets in the world. And they were dead set on getting that last 0.001%.
Right.
That's everybody else in the world, you and me and everyone else owns. So this is the committee of 313, however far you want to go down to the royal families of the world that have been running us, this whole time, trying to create this empire.
Yeah. What I believe, Sandy, to your right point is that from one of my team members that the committee of 300 has been dealt with already behind the scenes, and that the wealth of the wicked is now being laid up for the righteous, which is part of what Nasara obviously entails, right? Going back to Leviticus 25:9-12, restoring families, restoring fortunes, removal of debts, all has smacks of that. So we're very encouraged that, I think to your earlier point, it is basically being reverse engineered against the bad people. And once they crush the old market, whatever that new number is, I've heard ranges between 3,000 to 6,000 as a real, average. It would be converted, from tangible assets. The companies that are left standing are going to have to play ball in the right fashion, or they just simply won't exist. So,
Yeah.
very, very exciting stuff. Well, Sandra, as we close up today, as we always do, last thoughts you have for the audience, and where can people find your work, please?
Sure. So, of course, the master plan here is for the corporation to go away and the republic to be restored. And it was actually restored in 2010. And we've been here working behind the scenes and have now been able to get our message out. And so if you're being called to step forward and fill one of these open seats, lots at the county levels, county clerks, county justices, county assemblies need to be restored. And so if that sounds like you, please sign up on our website. I'll give you the short address, which is republic4usa.org, republic4usa.org. And I'm sure he's going to put that in the description for you folks. It'll redirect to our members website. Be patient. It goes down every once in a while because of course, bad guys still like to play with us. And so just try again, a little bit later in the day or the next day or whatever, just keep trying to get in. We would love to have a conversation with you. We'll direct you to your interim governor, whoever that is in the Republic. We have 49 governors. We had all 50 there for a while, but one of them decided that it was not the right thing for them. So we're now looking for a new governor for that state. But I think we're going to fill that pretty quickly because God always provides.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now we're just waiting for the phone call from Trump or his people and to let us know what the plan is. We anticipate anytime they'll be doing that now that the inauguration is behind us and these executive orders have been dropping. And like you said, he said the words restore the republic. So now everyone knows that we don't have one. And we have to put it back. So
Yeah.
that's us. So we would love to have you and super appreciate you. And thanks, John, for having me on again.
Oh, it's an honor. Yeah, we have you preset in the editing, so we'll have the link in the description, no problem. And yeah, I think he just revealed that the emperor has no clothes. So, and we got to get a new wardrobe. And folks, we are walking right now, as you can see very clearly, front of center into the golden age. Literally, he said that, President Trump, many, many times. So if you already have currency or you're looking to add to the cachet position what you have, whether it's dinar, dong, zim, rupiah, Thai baht or Bolivar, and many of the other currencies. We'll leave that link in the description. Just remember that we're on a ticking time bomb, and when they stop the currency auctions, they stop the currency auctions, and that's that. No one knows when that'll be, but make sure you're on the right side of that, and we'll leave that link in the description. Sandy Miarecki, thanks for joining us as always. It's an honor and a privilege. Thanks for your time and your service, and we look forward to having you on again shortly.
Thank you, John.
Take care.